Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to announce that the host for the 2018 Commonwealth Games will be the Gold Coast.
The Commonwealth Games is one of the largest sporting events in the world, and for the Gold Coast to host an event like this is a massive undertaking. It brings a lot of publicity to the city, and the way that people travel around and move around the city is a very important part of hosting such a large event. And because the Gold Coast Light Rail runs along this key corridor with a lot of the venues for the Commonwealth Games, GoldlinQ really was, I guess, the heart and soul of moving those passengers during that period.
We saw a 6 million spectators moving around the system over the Games period, and we moved about 90% of those spectators on public transport. Light rail was a star performer during the Games. We were seeing more than 1 million spectators over the Commonwealth Games period.
The Games patronage just blew everyone away. We had 66,500 people per day modelled by the Department of Transport. We were averaging 100,000 a day, and in anyone's terms that is surely exceeding expectations.
The State of Queensland has entrusted the delivery of the Gold Coast Light Rail to GoldlinQ and its partners, including Keolis Downer.
Keolis Downer did a marvellous job, and it wasn't just the performance of the trams themselves, we had 18 of those, but it was the KD staff on the stations that worked really, really well. So marshalling the crowds, making sure that people go on the trams quickly and efficiently. Everybody, really took aware of the fact that trams are clean, they're green, all the staff were friendly, they were frequent, and because we've actually manufactured the system from scratch, it was fully accessible.
Stage 2 and the investment that was made in Stage 2 was absolutely vital in terms of moving that number of people around the Gold Coast. What we saw, the connection between light rail and heavy rail at Helensvale, allowed a seamless connection from Brisbane down to the Gold Coast and allowed spectators and people visiting the region to connect to some of those key Games venues at Southport, Surfers Paradise and Broadbeach.
Stage 2 of light rail was really important to us. As a result of that, we've got a 27% increase in transport across the whole of the Gold Coast. So it's not just the light rail that's gone up in value, but it's also the whole of the network, and people are using the whole of the network more.
We started this journey very, very early on. It was great to see that Keolis Downer having an understanding of not just special events here on the Gold Coast in terms of light rail operations, but their global knowledge, made sure that our engagement with TMR was very, very early. So that was a key factor in our success.
Part of the reason we were successful in delivery of this event is due to the collaboration that we undertook, in particular with our shareholder Keolis and our cousins down in Melbourne at Yarra, looking into the large events that these organisations have delivered, such as the Olympic Games, the Euro, the Australian Open, Formula One. These sorts of events have given us enormous insight into the sorts of activities we'd need to undertake.
Normally at peak periods on the GoldlinQ network we operate at 7.5-minute headways, but during the Commonwealth Games we were operating at 6-minute headways. So we had to test the network, we had to make sure that it was capable of doing those headways and coping with that extra demand. But we also had to make sure that our service staff could cater for the extra passengers. So obviously crowd control is a big factor on our stations when we're dealing with over 1 million passengers in that time frame. We have to make sure they get to where they need to be safely. During normal business operations, we have approximately 30 customer service staff that work around the stations and help passengers. So for the Commonwealth Games, we employed an extra 311 staff on top of that 30. So it's a massive uplift over 10 times. Keolis Downer are in the process now of getting Newcastle Light Rail up and running. We were able to secure drivers from that Newcastle project who will be future drivers of that network, and we were able to utilise them to ramp up for the Commonwealth Games. So they provided some key positions for us here, and Also help them gain experience on driving light rail vehicles as well.
We've got a 24-hour transport coordination centre. They're working through the clock in real time, using their cameras, allocating, working this every hour.
Get set for the games was really important because it got the whole business community on the Gold Coast ready and able and willing to actually support the games. And it was really good in terms of moving things like deliveries out of the way of the peak, but also it got people ready to use park and rides, and people ready to use light rail and heavy rail as a network. It wasn't just a single mode system.
People loved travelling in the trams. The smiles were fantastic, the stories people were sharing, friends being made. Having the athletes use the trams to get to and from the village was a delight as well, because they were constantly asked for selfies and where are you from? It was gorgeous. It was a lot of fun. The staff loved every minute of it.
Anyone jumping off, guys?
The backbone of the system, particularly the public transport system, was the trams. People were happy to use them. People who have never used them before are now telling us that they use it during the games and they're going to come back. And to me, that's a resounding sort of success and acknowledgement that the light rail was key to the transport. People loved it. People embraced it. The overseas media were reporting on it as being success for the games, and we're very happy with the outcomes.
The real highlight for me has been the fact that it's just been a celebration of the work of so many people. All the KD, Keolis Downer people, the GoldlinQ people, all of our contractors, constructors, everyone who's been involved in constructing the light rail.
The number of people that used light rail, the way it was able to move around the Gold Coast really efficiently, exceeded our expectations, the number of people using it. And also, I think, has really set a really solid foundation for thinking about how we might expand light rail on the Gold Coast.
We now have all levels of governments, both federal, state and local, talking about the absolute success of the light rail during the games. We have people now not questioning, do we need stage 3, but asking, when are we having stage 3?
I think we'll be expanding the tram system as a legacy. I think the partnership we've got now is absolutely vital. It's not a zero-sum game, we're all pointing in the same direction. It means they're an integral part of our transport network and will continue to be so in the future.
The performance of Keolis Downer and the light rail through the games period has put us in a great place for future stages of the light rail.